time when celebrity drug-related controversies are making the rounds, MX Player has released a rather topical show called High on the plight of drug addicts, which has been getting great reviews. We have with us Karan Bedi, CEO of MX Player, to discuss MX Originals and more. Hi, Karan.
Hi, Nita. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us. Tell me, 18 months ago, you made a 1,000 crore acquisition and set out on a journey to make a video playback app into one of the top OTT players in the country. Tell me, what were your biggest worries back then, and what has been the biggest speed breaker that came up in front of you in these past 18 months?
So I think at that time, the thesis was very simple, that you had this large base of users that were interested in watching in video. And our aim was to make sure that we could get them to watch video that was, streamed by us rather than video that they downloaded. And I think that that thesis has worked out very well. We are the largest OTT in India today, and have been consistently for the last almost 6 months. And so I think that thesis has been very, very well proven. I think we've very much hit our goal. Frankly, we've exceeded our goal. We had the vision to be the largest, but we also didn't think it would happen this quickly. I think that we had a slightly longer term framework in mind, but we've certainly exceeded it. And I think that, it's been done on the back of starting from scratch. We had, we didn't have any TV network backing us. Obviously, the Times Group brings a lot of media muscle into the business, but it is primarily a news group, not a entertainment group. So I think that, but their support has been fantastic, and I think between our teams and our shareholders, we managed to really sort of hit it out of the park.
You spoke about building it from scratch. So let's try and break it down. Tell me, how many monthly active users did your OTT platform have on day one? You had about 175 million monthly active users on your video playback app when you acquired it. So how many of them stayed when you converted it into an OTT app right in the first month or two?
So interestingly, our thesis was we started off obviously with the local player, and then we introduced video streaming. Then we realized that, we did a whole bunch of sort of analytics on the user base and what they were consuming and so on. And we realized that there's a lot of demand for music. So a few months after we launched it, around the time when we did the formal launch of the OTT, we also realized that music is something that's pretty important to us. So we started rolling out a completely full-fledged music service within MX in partnership with our affiliate company, that's Gaana. And then further going forward, we saw that, there was, again, we started seeing demand on those same user base for gaming. We saw that that there were a lot of there were a lot of users that were consuming gaming apps and had an interest in gaming that were on MX. So the next thing we did is we introduced the gaming platform, the casual gaming platform on MX towards the end of 2019. But I think in all of these, we had a very clear vision that we wanted to build, products on the platform that were relevant to our users. And in each of those products, we are now a market leader. So it wasn't just a sort of random thing of saying, okay, chalo, there's a user base, ye bhi dal do, ye bhi dal do, ye bhi dal do. It was very clearly focused on creating a value proposition where we found that the user wanted to do different things on entertainment at different parts of his day. So whether it was using the existing MX player, at some point of time, to video streaming, to audio streaming, to gaming. And now most recently, 2 months ago, we launched Takatak, which is our short video platform, when we saw that opportunity. So we continue to have a set of users that interact with different parts of the app at different times of the day. And overall, both the user base and the engagement level per user has shot up over the last year and a bit. So that thesis of saying that, sum of parts is much bigger than the individual services has played out very well.
Okay, but how many were you able to retain in the first initial, the first few months? Was it full 175?
So the platform today overall, including everything, is more than, is close to 220 actually now. So it's a very large jump that's happened even in the, and for it's not easy to get a jump at that number to begin with. But so you've seen a very big jump that's happened across different across our different sort of media, and this concept of everytainment has not only helped us expand our user base, but has also absolutely further retained and re-engaged our existing user base that we had at the time.
Okay. So as for App Annie, and by your own admission, you're the number one app, OTT app in the country today. So this has happened in a course of 18 months. So what is the next big goal in front of you?
I think it would be premature to say that we are there yet. I think there's two parts to looking at this. Today, I think in India there are about, the numbers change every day, but there's probably about 500 odd million 4G connected smartphones, and now smart TVs are becoming pretty popular, right? The COVID has certainly accelerated the adoption of that, but you'll see in the next few years, smart TVs are going to become pretty popular. So I think that there's still potentially, I think in the next 3 or 4 years, you will have, maybe somewhere in the range of 750 to 800 million broadband connected screens between smartphones, smart TVs. Tablets is not a huge category in India, but certainly whatever small category there is on tablets and PCs and whatever. So I think that we very much think that in 3-4 years, that out of the 750, 800 million, we expect to be on at least 500 million of those connected screens. I think that, while it's, currently we're at 200 odd, I think there's room to more than double that in the next 3-4 years. And we fully expect to be on a large percentage, very large majority of that screen then. And I think that I'd like to point out that, when we talk about our numbers, we are very clearly focused on actual users on our apps and websites. These days there's a lot of noise in the market about DAUs and MAUs, and there are all kinds of things. These embeds, and my web app is embedded in someone's app, and this, that, the other. All this stuff happens. In our view, there's only one way to define a DAU or an MAU, which is that someone has come to an owned and operated property by you, your app or your website, on your on a phone or a PC or a TV. That's the only way we define it, and that's the way we look at numbers. So we think that with, like I said, somewhere in the range of 750 to 800 million connected screens, we want to be on more than 500.
Okay. I wanted to compare MX with Hotstar, which has been the number one otherwise. Hotstar may have had the first user advantage, but they literally had to build the user base from scratch. For you, it was more about retaining the existing users after conversion. So tell me, which was more challenging? Which according to you is more challenging? Building something from scratch, or keeping the existing users as interested as they were.
So remember, we also built from scratch in the sense that I think, Hotstar, firstly, I have to hand it to them. They're a great company, right? They've done a great job, and they've been now at it for about 5 years. I think I think they launched in 2015, if I'm not wrong, early 2015. So just over 5 years, and I think they've done a great job. But I think the one thing you have to always remember about them or anybody else is that on the broadcaster space is that they came into the picture with a huge amount of content available to them. We had nothing. We built every single bit of our content from scratch, whether it was stuff that we created, whether it's stuff that we licensed or bought. It was a very, very important thing. So I think that, yes, of course, while distribution, we had a big leg up, but it's not, distribution and content are two equally important parts of the business. So I wouldn't say it was any easier for us or them. I think everyone has their own journey, and I'm just happy that we've done really well and managed to get to that spot.
You today, you've grown into an everytainment platform. Who would have thought that you would branch out so quickly in a year of slowdown? Now, tell me, was that always a plan to be, so aggressive in 2020, or did COVID just accelerate the expansion?
So no, it was always an aggressive year for us. So I would say, again, I mentioned to you earlier, we started with the local player, then we went to video, then we went to music, then we went to gaming, and now on to short video. And in every single one of them, this was a studied view into saying that we believe that uh, consumers want 15 apps in India for 15 different things. There is a homogeneity that you can create with a super app in a particular area. Now, we didn't think a generic super app. I mean, there's been talk about generic super apps which says, oh, put everything from taxis to shopping to video to food delivery all in one app. We don't think that is a super likely scenario. But in media itself, within, let's say, entertainment or everytainment as we like to call it, we had a thesis saying that people will want something that they can interact in different parts of the day, whether you have 5 minutes available to you or you have 1 hour available to you, or you have the same app that cross links between the different products. And that's what everytainment is, and I think it's done really well for us. So we always had the view of going down this road. I think COVID certainly gave us a lot of confidence in being able to take some of those bets more aggressively, because we just saw usage just skyrocket so much. We certainly got a lot of confidence in being more aggressive though.
Okay. Let's talk about some of these newly launched categories. Now, gaming, you launched it just in time before the gaming boom in the country, just before COVID. I mean, that was like pure luck, I guess. To tell me, how has it grown in the past 8 months, and to what extent has it started contributing to MX Players' overall revenues?
So I wouldn't say it's luck. I think we've been saying this for some time, that gaming is a very important part of something called Karan Bedi is just connected to this. I don't know what happened there. No, I'm saying that gaming has certainly been a very important part of the portfolio from day one. We've always known that this is something that we want to be in. We've always known that it's been a big opportunity. And we started rolling out our gaming platform in sort of Jan of this year, like just in sort of beta phase. So we were well ahead of. The first time I ever heard the word COVID, very frankly, was mid-Jan, at which point of time it was still not nowhere near as big a deal as it is today. I mean, it was just like, oh, there's some new thing has popped up somewhere in China or whatever it was. But I think that we knew the potential. I think what ended up happening was that potential was accelerated by probably a few years. And today, gaming is a very big part of the platform, and gaming is very useful for a few different ways. One, it's definitely very engaging, right? So people who spend time gaming, people who actually, are gamers, casual gamers, spend time gaming, actually spend a lot of time. It's a high engagement platform. For clients, it's very, very useful as well, because it's one of the best platforms for advertising. So while in video or in display, you show an ad and the person says, okay, I need to watch this ad to continue on with my video, right? Because India is still a very A-word friendly market, still not super friendly on S-word. On gaming, it's the opposite. You want more ads because you want those ads lead to different positive outcomes in your game. So if you want an extra life, or you want a power up, or you want some kind of plus point in your game, the option is to either buy it or to watch an ad. So in our case, we follow the ad route. So we actually found customers coming to us and saying, hey, I didn't get the opportunity to see one more ad and get one more power up. And I'm like, wow, your customers asking. So for clients, this is very, very important, because, if you truly want your brand to resonate with an audience, the right place to put it is where people are actually in a very, very friendly manner. So, and we do this, and we end up doing this across our platform. So, today we've got clients where we sell our, what we call our sort of everytainment pack, so to speak, or our everytainment package, where you can come on as a client, you can get impact inventory on video and on display, and you can get a lot of high engagement people, getting retargeted with that inventory on gaming, where people, again, like I said, people want ads, people want to participate more and view it. So it's actually really positive rub off on the brand. So I think that's worked out well. So it's been a very positive thing, both for our engagement and for our revenue growth.
But overall, how much do you see it contribute by next year to MX's revenues, considering it's a ad-friendly app?
Oh no, I think gaming is going to be a very important part. I mean, I'm not I'm not going to give you a percentage point right now. It's too early to really say, but it will be a significant part. I think that gaming is a very, very important part of the mix. And like I said, more and more what we're explaining to our clients, and I think clients are really resonating with this, is that you need to be able to target the user at different points of time in his day, in different moods. You don't want only display or only video. You want people to come in and be able to see your brand and to be able to engage with your brand in different ways. So for example, we've got one client who does a lot of work on video, a lot of business with us on video, does really well for them. And we said, look, why don't you also start putting a little bit of spend on the gaming side? And they've had it's definitely had a sort of 1+1 is more than 2 impact, because you've got people watching that brand in their ads on video. And we guide them a little bit to have slightly different creatives, right? I mean, on video, you have your sort of 10-second, 20-second, 30-second films. On gaming, you can be a little bit more creative. You continue to have your 10, 20, 30-second films, but you have a lot more immersive vertical formats. You have a lot more interesting formats you can integrate within the game. And then now, of course, the latest one is on Takatak. Again, we've scaled that really fast. And again, it's a super, super high engagement platform. That again brands really love. So MX is now the only place in the country where if you want impact, you want reach, you want performance, you want engagement, one-stop shop. Talk to us and we will give you talk to us about what your outcomes are, and we'll help you fulfill them.
The right fit. But let me reframe my questions, I guess. Do you see gaming overtake your OTT app as far as advertising is concerned in the near future? Is that a tall ask?
we have absolutely no. I think on usage it's not likely. Video is very, very big, and it will be. On monetization, who knows? I mean, it's a very highly monetizable part of the app, and like I said, so I think all power to it. We treat everything equally here. So if you've got a lot of action happening on that, that's great. We will certainly support it to every intent. We have no intention of trying to devalue anything. We have, if we think that the gaming business is showing signs of growing even bigger, we'll double down on it.
Well, let's come to the next one, the Takatak. Now, the ban on Chinese apps obviously was godsend for a lot of Indian companies, including you. Right. Tell me, do you literally see it replace TikTok in India, and how soon?
So look, I think there are a few different apps popped up right around that time, and I think that we've actually done very well because we've had a couple of different serious advantages, right? One is that with a lot of our creators, firstly, out of the top 1,000 creators that TikTok had, more than half of them have actually come on to Takatak exclusively. So there's a big lot of exclusive content from cool influencers. But even more importantly, there was a cohort of influencers that emerged out of the TikTok era. And now there's a new cohort of influencers that are going to emerge out of our era. And I think that is the power of short video, that you are able to take, people who are just, from ordinary backgrounds and who are able to become, you're able to become sort of famous overnight. And I think that's the power of what short video can do. And what we do is we are able to extend that even further. We're able to say, okay, hey, you come on board, you not only sort of become popular on Takatak, but then the next step is you start on an MX web show, in a big web series, right, with some of our key core Bollywood talent. And then the next step is obviously, while we don't make films, we certainly have relationships with all the major film directors and producers. And, maybe that's the next step, that you become a movie star. So I think that, still a lot of people's sort of goal in life, right? So I think that we have a very unique thing there. And then again, just the sheer distribution that MX can bring to the table is basically unparalleled. We have, as I said, the largest distribution of any entertainment app in the country. Frankly, outside of the Google ecosystem, probably we're the largest app in the country, outside of the Google and Facebook ecosystem. So we bring a lot of value to our creators. So I think Takatak will do really well. And, why as big as TikTok? It will be bigger than TikTok one day.
Okay, fantastic. And another thing is, many experts at this point feel that, brands have been more active on these short form video apps than mass media, even compared to other digital platforms. Do you see this trend continuing in the near future, after we're completely out of the lockdown? Do you see influencers becoming bigger than, mass media?
like I said, we believe all of this is going to be big, which is why we are in all of it. We are in the biggest, we are on long form video, we are on gaming, we are on short form video, we are on audio. So we believe that all of them will play a part in a media plan. Our goal with our clients is to make sure that whatever parts of the user's life that they want to talk to the user in, we are present. So I think that short video is going to be very big. I think it will continue to be very big. Perhaps the influencers today will not be the influencers of tomorrow. Perhaps they will be, perhaps there'll be new ones. We don't know. But certainly the format is not going anywhere. It's a very engaging format that people love. Both users love and brands love. And there are very unique ways to create brand resonance with short video. But the best thing, like I said, is this combination across. Like being able to see a 30-second film while you're watching a show and being able to play with it during a game in an engaging manner, and then doing like one of these, AR lens filters while you're on short video of the same brand. Now, when you have users watching all of these in tandem, and we are able to track them across tandem, right? So think about it even from a tracking perspective. So for a client, right, he knows that someone has seen his ad in 3 different formats, as opposed to, okay, if he went to YouTube and he went to TikTok and he went to, some gaming company, he'd have to figure out, okay, different, and then he has to, do all kinds of work to figure out how many of those people were common, how many actually saw, didn't see. Here is one dashboard, you figure it all out. So it's been good, and I think that short video is going to continue to be fun.
So how many users do you have on TikTok, on Takatak at this point?
So it's scaled really, really fast. I mean, we're far north of 10 million daily actives now. So and it's been, and like I said, when I say daily actives, I actually mean people who actually have opened the app. None of this embedding, blah 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 blah.
Okay. A couple of weeks ago, I was speaking to Satyen Gajwani, when you had come up with your TIL report. And he was saying that at this point, till date, your priority was to fill the consumer need for entertainment. And figuring out new ways to monetize via subscription is going to be on agenda for the next couple of years. So how soon will we see MX Player premium subscription model come up?
So I think the way I look at it is that today we still continue to believe that India is largely going to be an ad-driven media market, whether it's on long form video, whether it's on short form video, whether it's on gaming. But obviously, as we go forward, as the economy starts to grow, as disposable incomes start to rise, there will be pockets of demand popping up for, subscription. So when these pockets of demand start popping up, we want to make sure we are there to address them. So I think that we will certainly be experimenting with different things over the next few quarters, and see what it is that we think makes sense. But I think that, our view is that certainly we want to be present to be able to capture these pockets of demand. But we also do believe that it's going to be a mixed market. Every media market in the world has been that for forever. It's not as if any media market in the world has only been subscription or only been advertising. In fact, there are few markets that are only advertising, very low subscription, but there's no market in the world that's only subscription. So I think that that's the way we think about it. I think we'll experiment and we'll see whatever's right for whichever kind of user. But we want to make sure that we have the largest user base possible and being able to consume entertainment.
Since you're focused on AVOD, of course, tell us what kind of advertising graph has it been for MX Player in the past year, and by what percentage has it gone up?
Like I said, we started monetizing the platform really only, probably 7-8 months ago, maybe a little longer than that. Because before that, we were really focused on building the scale and the engagement on the platform. Even I keep forgetting we are not even 2 years old. It seems like it's such a it seems it's been longer, but we are actually just not even 2 years old in the market. So so we focused on the first year on just building out that scale. We got there. We are certainly, like I said, we're the biggest, and we started, aggressively figuring out monetization now on that. And so it's been really good. Like I told you, we had 2 huge months in August and September. We expected October, November, December would be, will continue to be very good months. We think that, again, Takatak is going to be very big for us. Gaming is turning out to be very big for us. We talked about subscription products. Those are also going to start rolling out. Like I said, we'll experiment in the next few quarters as to what those are. But while we continue to believe what will be the big one, there will be demand pockets and subscription that we think are going to emerge as well. So I think it's very hard to say. I'm sure you're going to ask me this question at some point in time, saying, "Oh, when you guys want to break even, etc., etc." I'll just preempt you and tell you that I don't think anyone can predict with certainty, whether it'll be 4, 5, 6, or 8 quarters down the line. But I can tell you for sure that even today in the morning, this Economic Times article came out that where the consumption goes, the money follows, and the money started following. Digital is now bigger than print, and it's going to be. And the question of digital advertising revenues surpassing TV are now not a question of FY24, FY25. Now it's a question of will it happen in FY21 or 22. So I think that monetization is becoming very strong on our platforms, and I think that it'll become, it'll be whether ads, whether subs, whatever it is. And by the way, those are not just the only two monetization models. There are lots more innovative things that are going to start happening in digital. I think that you'll see that in the next 3, 4, 5 years, you'll see a lot of businesses make a lot of money on digital.
Okay. But talking about the lockdown and how things have turned in this, there was this one opportunity wherein big budget films were releasing on OTT platforms, but MX kind of steered clear of that. I mean, Shakuntala Devi or Lakshmi Baba, Gulabo Sitabo. I mean, there were no releases, if I'm not wrong, on MX Player so far. Why did you stay away from that bandwagon?
I think that we certainly were not opposed to it in principle, but I think that you need to be very cognizant of what the maths work out to be on this, right? And some of these things I think were just not working out on the math, because in some cases those films have already, in some of the platforms that release new films are already paid for the digital rights of those films, so they had to pay. In my view, they had to pay a lot to convert those digital rights into like all rights to do before theatrical. But I think it was at that time a win-win situation for them and the producer. But in general, we found that the maths were just not sitting right, because maybe Lakshmi Bomb, let's see how that turns out. It's coming out soon. But I think the view on most of them was that some of these were really, really, really large numbers in terms of the economics, and it was not clear as to what the outcome would be. But I think in general, what this did was it opened up the concept of films coming on to digital first before theatrical. And I think that concept is going to continue. We chose not to sort of participate. We looked at everything. We chose not to participate because we didn't think that, any particular deal construct that was happening at the time and at the economic value that it was happening suited us. But I'm sure that many, many more will come our way. And today, I think day after tomorrow, the cinemas are supposed to open. So let's see how that also works out over the next few.
That was actually my next question. Do you think with the cinemas opening up again, it's going to steal OTT's thunder?
Not at all. The move has happened. People love it. People want more. They can't get enough. This is here to stay. You can quote me on that.
Okay. Tell me also about, how you're rising up to the vernacular challenge. I mean, your show Queen did really, really well. So are there others in the pipeline, and how many different languages are you in right now?
Queen was the biggest show ever that has been in Tamil. Samantar was one of the biggest shows in Marathi that we did in May. We did Ek Thi Begum in dual language, in Marathi and Hindi. We've got a Punjabi show coming out. We've had we've got a big Telugu show coming out with again dual language Telugu Hindi show coming out with Ram Gopal Verma. It was supposed to be out end of this year, but obviously things got delayed a little bit with COVID. So my guess is probably be sometime early next year. But we've got a whole bunch of things happening, and we've been there on regional from day one, because again MX's user base is so large and so well represented across all our geographical spread of India, that we wanted to be very clear that we will not be a one language platform. Because certainly we were on 10 languages on day one, and we continue to invest in great content on all of these.
Another thing I think you did was, you dubbed soaps from Turkey, Latin America, Eastern Europe. and made it into local languages. So what kind of traction are those getting? Is that a hit?
Yes, huge. I think that today we are the largest provider of international content in Indian languages in India. And we started off with some Turkish content, which did really well with us because it's it resonates in the kind of structural construct of that content. And then we expanded that to different parts of the world. We've got content from Latin America. We've got content from other parts of the Middle East. You've got content from Eastern Europe. You've got a lot of content that we think is relevant to India, and have dubbed it not just in Hindi but in regional languages as well.
Mm-hmm. And tell me, you've also expanded to other markets apart from India. So,
Yeah.
what kind of user base do you have in these markets? You said 220 MAU in India itself.
So we've got a whole bunch of other smaller markets we've gotten into. We're present in Bangladesh, in Nepal, in the UAE. We're present in Sri Lanka. So there's a whole bunch of different markets around the world we're starting to get into, and it's very early days yet. But I'm not going to go into the details, but in one or two of them we are already the number one OTT. So I think again we take a lot of advantages of picking those markets well, figuring out where we could go in, what the positioning in those markets could be, and where we could take leadership position. So I think that's the strategy that we're going out with for some of those markets.
But then tell me, how do you differentiate MX from the other players in the market today? Sony Live, Hotstar, ZEE5.
I mean, today, just look at the sheer size. I mean, today I mean, multiples bigger than pretty much everybody else, barring Hotstar, which is, we're ahead of them, but not sort of as much further ahead as we are of some of the others, and because that they've got sports. So Hotstar sports and their premium content is English. Everyone else is content. Someone's got, without naming names, I mean, someone's got 3 originals, someone's got 5 originals, someone got 8 originals. We've got more than 60 over the last couple of years, whatever, year and a half, and that's what's happening. I think the move away from TV content to content specifically created for these audiences, like we call them, the mass mobile millennial. These audiences don't have anything to watch on TV, so you have to for them, barring 1 or 2 game shows and things like that, certain bits of content work, but the bulk of TV content is not geared towards, like I said, the mobile mass millennial, and we are creating content, specifically for them. So I think that's been our big differentiator, and we are everytainment. I think that everytainment proposition is very, very powerful. They want that, and I mean, there's nobody else out there that's even anywhere near it.
So you now have gaming, short form video, OTT. What next? How does this everytainment package get completed?
We also have music at the moment, which of course will continue to grow. And I think, look, as I said, I mean, we'll continue to find adjacencies. We don't necessarily just believe we should just add products onto it just to increase the sort of spread. I think we'll see how users react to different parts of this platform, and see what parts of it make sense and what parts of it resonate and what parts of it create engagement, both for users and, on the other hand, we'll also understand how our clients think about it. And on that basis, we'll think of where to expand and, where to bolster up. But I think these 4, 5 products that we have today, we are the key thing for us is that in everything we enter, we want to be sure that we have a very good defensible advantage, what we call a sort of right to win, and B, that we have a good shot of path to number 1 in a reasonable time frame. No one becomes number 1 overnight in anything, but we have a reasonable shot at path to number 1, which is something we've achieved in all the things we've launched till now. So we continue to believe that as we go forward, there'll be opportunities to take the same thesis and repeat it.
Okay. And let's conclude with your, the recent most show high. So it's got perfect timing. Things are happening in the world of news, and it's just happened to parallelly run with that. So was this timed accordingly, or was it supposed to always come around at this time?
No, I think it was, as you know, these shows take a lot of time to create, right? So this has been in the works for a long time now. But I think that certainly fortuitous timing in the sense that it was started to become about a subject that was being widely talked about. And I think that it, when you see it, and I encourage all of your viewers to see it, that it actually gives a very deep insight into much of what is being discussed. Many of the questions that are being raised in the news about ye sab kaise hota hai, what is happening, how does this happen, is this real? And obviously, while the show is fictional, you can imagine a lot of these situations are, very well researched and taken from real life. So if you really want to know, like, how this uh, sort of situation has come to where it is, I think certainly the show covers many bits and parts of it.
In that case, I really want to know, and I think it's on my agenda for this weekend. Thank you so
Absolutely.
much, Karan.
I guarantee you, the show will give you a high. But no, do it. Do watch it and enjoy it.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for being with us, joining us here, and all the best. And hope to see every Tayman package growing.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Look forward to chatting soon. Thank you.